All right, welcome to Hansens Speed Shop. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, mainly known for doing 1/64 scale custom diecast here on the channel. But through the course of my entire life, I've built plenty of model kits, mainly 1/25 scale model kits. I've built lots and lots of models. I kind of started off when I was a little kid customizing like Hot Wheel cars and stuff. Then I moved into model kits. Then I went back to 1/64 scale cars for a while, and then went back to models, and then for the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, basically just been doing 1/64 scale cars. But I'd like to get back into doing some more model kits when I have a little bit more time. They take a little bit more time than the cars. Today we're going to be looking at not the best model kit that I ever built, but probably, arguably, one of the most special cars that I ever built. So I started with this kit, very cool kit from Monogram. It's a 32 Ford Deuce Roadster. This was a reissue of a kit from back in the 50s, early 60s. Monogram really made some super awesome hot rod kits. And I got this back in like the late 90s or early 2000s when my local hobby shop went out of business, and this was on clearance. And then I never built it, and when I was a teenager, I decided, it was in the summer, I was probably like 14 or 15, and I decided to, I was super into the whole old school car culture, rat rod, just vintage traditional hot rod scene that was happening in the mid 2000s. I was so into it. So I decided I wanted to build a hot rod model kit, and I basically built this whole car in one afternoon. So let's take a look at it. So this is the car. Built this car, like I said, in one afternoon with whatever paint I had available. This is not how I would build the car today, but it's how I built it back then, and it's very reminiscent of a lot of the cars that were being built by young people that were into that old school hot rod scene back in the late 90s to mid 2000s. I built this car, and I think in 2007, I'm gonna say 2006, 2007. And literally a couple days later, they were having a car show not far from where I live. And George Barris, the king of customs, was going to be there. And then I found out that they were also having a model car contest there. So since I just had finished this car, I decided to bring it along and enter it in the model car show. Lo and behold, that day turned out to be one of the coolest days of my whole life. I literally got to spend the entire day with George, hang out with him, talk about cars, talk about how some of my all-time favorite cars were built at his shop, like the Munster Coach, the Dragula, the Batmobile, and he was super cool. He gave me some special memorabilia that day that was not available to anybody else. That's actually when I got this picture, this Munster Coach picture autographed to me. Very cool. And then I'll put some pictures of me with George in the video at some point. Okay, guys, so here's some pictures of me with George. Disregard on the bottom of the corner of the picture, some of them have a date. That date is wrong. My mom's camera at the time was screwed up. But this car show is held at one of my favorite places. It was called Monster Hall, and it's no longer in existence, but it was a Monster and Munsters themed campground, bar, and kind of theme park. There was also a racetrack there. It closed down probably like about 10 years ago. I won't get into any of the politics behind that, but it was a super cool place because I'm a huge Monster and Munsters fan. And every summer they'd have a car show there, and they'd always bring in some really neat celebrities. The owner that I knew, Randy, he was really good friends with Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster, and I got to meet him out there numerous times. I'd hang out with Butch a lot out at Munster Hall. Um, and But this year they had not only Butch Patrick was there, but George Barris was there, which I was so excited to meet, and so glad that I got to go there and meet him. I think my mom and dad and my sister were there that day too, and a few other friends. But my mom actually filmed a whole like interview that we did with George, where like I sat with him and then he was telling me stories. So I'd like to find that video. I have no idea where it is, but if I ever do come across it, I'd like to put that up on YouTube just to share it with you guys too. But just talked about so much stuff, how he grew up, and like the first cars that he started customizing as a teenager, they didn't have, like, there was no custom parts back then. There was no magazines. There was nothing to go by but your own imagination and what you could come up with. So he was talking to me about like how the first car he bought, I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but like he was digging in his mom's cupboards and taking like old pie pans and stuff, making custom hubcaps out of them, and taking the knobs off for drawers and putting them in the grill and stuff for just, custom little stuff like that. And then he talked about like how in the early days, there was no computers or anything. So if you had an idea in your head and you wanted to like put it on paper to show somebody what you were talking about, well, how they would do it back then was cut out pictures of cars out of magazines, and then maybe cut off like the roof off another picture of a car, and then like put it over the top of that picture, cut the wheels off of one car and then tape them over the top of another car, and kind of make these like collage pictures to kind of get the idea of what they wanted to do on a car. He talked about how since he was Greek, and he took the K off the end of Greek and replaced the C in custom with a K, and customized the word custom itself, which like everything to do with custom culture now you spell with a K. So it's so cool like how that started. Talked about how like my favorite cars, like the Monster Coach and Dragula, how they got the contracts to do those, and how they were so limited on time, like a week or two to get these cars built for Universal, and where the cars ended up. And at the time, they were actually building another Monster Coach, which is probably the one that gets toured around the most now. It's got like a more modern Ford engine in it. If you ever see the car, you'll know it right away because it has like an air cleaner in the center of all the 10 Strombergs aren't really functional. It's got like a Cobra engine in it. And it has a little bit different wheels on it. But that car was being built when I met George here at this show. And he talked about too, like how back in the 50s they would actually use model kits too to like try out an idea, like, well, if we have this car and we want to section it, how is that going to look? So they do it on a model kit first, and then maybe we need to do this a little bit more, because it was quicker and cheaper to try it on a model kit than doing it on the real car itself. And we just talked about all kinds of stuff. I literally spent from like, say, 10 in the morning till like almost midnight with George, like a whole day with him. And then he picked my car, like I talked about, and I won second place for my class. So just a really awesome day that I'll never forget. Very special to me, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. So we'll get back to looking at the Roadster at some point, but basically this is exactly how the car was. So I didn't want to change it just because, like, if I were to build this car today, it'd be a million times better. But it's special to me because this is the car that was at that show, and it actually, for my class, He ended up picking my car, and I took home a trophy for second place for I think my age group, or like the hot rod class maybe. I don't remember what exactly it was, but I got second place that day, and just a very memorable day for me, a very special car, because it allowed me, it just is a piece of my memory that's associated with George, and just what was going on in my life at that time, and in the car culture world. And when I had the car displayed at the show, I found this at a thrift store, and I had this sitting in the car. I don't know. It just was kind of, I thought it'd give it some more attention, but that's how I had it displayed. So I hope you guys dug this. I hope you guys think it's cool. Underneath the car, just pretty simple. Like, as you can see, I didn't even really get, a super good paint job, because this thing was molded in like maroon plastic. But it is what it is. It was like, I literally built this whole car in like an hour or two. And just super cool little hot rod. But again, with this build, it's more so about the memory associated with this car other than the build itself. So I hope you guys dug that. Give it a thumbs up, comment below, let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button. Go check out the channel for a ton of other cool stuff. I'm going to be putting some videos out of other model kits that I've built over the years. A lot nicer stuff, but again, like I said, this one was just kind of a special piece that I did. So get out, work on your own projects, get those hands dirty and greasy, stay cool, and we'll catch you cats on the next one. Thanks for watching.